Welcome back to another episode of Chat GRC from the Blue-Lusional podcast, where myself, Devin, and Casey, we interview a grassroots candidate every week. And young lady, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I always love it when people call me young. My name is Blythe Potter. I'm seeking the Democratic Party nomination for Indiana's Secretary of State in 2026.
Very
Yay!
nice.
Love it.
We love it.
All right. Well, you told us who you are. Let's just get right on into it. So we're going to start with the basics here of tell us a little bit more about you and what inspired you to run in this cycle.
I am a born and raised Hoosier. This is actually my third campaign. I'm a small business owner. I'm an esthetician and massage therapist by trade. I'm an Army veteran. I come from, like many people in Indiana, a born and raised Republican family. And, slowly over the last 15, 20 years, I've started to realize like what I was taught and what is reality, especially in politics in Indiana, are very different. So I'm officially the blue sheep of my family. Most of my family still think Democrats are demons. Not saying we are perfect, but we are the only way out of this mess in a two-party system. I ran for town council in 2023, mostly because I saw things in my community as a mom with a young child, like walkability was bad. And then county council was next year, same thing, just trying to change things on the local level because lower on the ballot, closer to home. And my gut instinct after November was we should leave the state because, we all heard what was happening, right? Anyone on this side of our story heard what Project 2025 was, what the plan was, and saw it coming. And my husband and I had many tearful conversations about like, what does this look like? We have a 5-year-old, we have 2 adult children. How do we do this? I know we are saying that from a privileged, once considered middle-class family, because we are white and in a suburban area, we have access to family and resources. But that may not always be the case. And so we've decided we are giving it literally everything we have through the next election. And this was the most interesting race available in 26 that I felt like I could really bring change to. The Secretary of State's office oversees elections in the state of Indiana. Every state is a little bit different. And I don't inherently think that election oversight is partisan. And as an end user of the elections and the ballots, I have never once from my county or my Secretary of State had voter outreach, knowing who's on my ballot from the elected officials, knowing what their platform is, where are my polling locations, and in being in the municipal arena the last 2 years, even finding information on my opponents. I almost need to have an Intellius login to be able to figure out who the F are these people, because they don't need to have information out there because they're Republicans. They just win. And I do marketing for my small business. And so like you all know, social media, I was like, this seems just like an easy marketing thing. We have like millions of dollars of budget for the Secretary of State's office. The voter outreach we see now is geared only towards Republicans and the current Secretary of State's campaign. Like it's basically his one person campaign. He's very corrupt. He's probably arguably the most corrupt elected official we have in the state of Indiana. And that's saying a lot. And it's a convention that I seek the Democratic Party nomination to be on the November ballot. So right now, I mostly only need to engage with Democrats who care about the Democratic Party and might be at the convention next year. And I'm one of those people. So it just seemed to work. It has definitely been, it's a challenge. I'm learning a lot. No one gives you a handbook and said, here, this is what you do in a statewide race. It's a lot of kind of like your podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to fumble it up, but that's part of being human. And I also really want to show my children and my community and my peers that this is doable, right? A real normal person who doesn't have a large bank account or any bank account can have a free social media app and market themselves and try to create change. So it's kind of where we ended up. My husband is also running for a state rep seat next year, so we kind of tag team a little bit.
Very nice.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing like the rise. I think it's like the rise of the grassroots candidates that we're seeing, because everybody they're done with it. They've had
Yeah.
enough. And then to your point before about the Secretary of State being able to oversee elections, that actually leads into the next question. What other type of like authorities or powers would you have over like the local level?
Probably not a lot, although I'm glad you asked, because that is a good chunk of my campaign. So part of this is getting to all 92 counties and speaking with the Democratic parties, but I also want to speak with them about what works, what might work in your county for voter outreach. And initially, and this kind of changed after speaking to the Randolph County chair last night, I was like, I'll work with the county clerks because they oversee their county elections. I will work with them. Maybe we'll fund a pilot program, give them some money from the state budget to help reach other voters. And he was thinking, well, we have a Republican clerk. Why would she want to do that? And he's not wrong.
Yeah.
It will be worth exploring. But it's having these conversations. Okay, how do we do this? Does the Secretary of State come in and be like, hey, I'm sending all of this to every registered voter. This is what we're doing. Or do I just say anyone who's eligible to vote, I send them this information? I'd like to empower the counties to do that, because we have a really large rural population and a large population of people like me who we work and don't actually want to spend time searching for this stuff. Younger families, people who work multiple jobs or have more children or less help than I do. It is hard to engage. It is genuinely hard. So I really want to find a way to work with that, but I wouldn't be creating legislation. I could work with the legislators. But it would really be going in and seeing, okay, how has this been done in the past? What can I do with this budget to manipulate that and we're 50 out of 51 for voter turnout. Like, it's kind of hard to do worse than we are. So the bar is, and I'm not saying this to be a jerk, even though I dislike what is happening. Like, it's hard to do worse, like literally hard to do worse than what's happening.
Yeah.
They oversee the securities, automobile dealerships, and the NBiz website, which I'm also an end user of. But the primary thing is the voter outreach. And I really just want to get in there and figure out how do we invite people to vote and try to earn their trust back, because the Democrats have been thrown under the bus. And I'm not saying we're perfect. The GOP has done a really good job of marketing Democrat bad, Republican good. But now we're starting to see the amount of lies that have been coming out of that party for the last 5 or 6 decades. So maybe that's an in. They've been lying about this legislation and them caring about what's your quality of life. Perhaps they're also lying to you about the Democratic Party. Like, we need to change too. We need to be more inclusive. We need to lower our barrier to entry. We need to be inviting people to our party, our meetings, inviting them to vote, inviting them to run for office. Like, we need to be engaging people and stop with the power grabs. And, we need to either share the baton, pass the baton, but stop gatekeeping, because it's we're in a really bad place here. We're bottom of the barrel for air quality, water quality, quality of life, healthcare, maternal mortality, educational outcomes, roads. That's all politics. Yeah. But we also grew up being told not to talk about politics. So I spiraled a little bit.
No, it's great, because like you said, I mean, everyone's getting what Devin likes to call a crash course in politics, because up until now, we haven't really had to pay this close attention. We've never had to pull the curtain back and go, what's wrong here? What has happened over the past couple decades that got us to this point? Because it didn't just happen. Yeah. And so people are pulling those curtains back, and they're starting to learn what happens when you get elected into office in every single role. And it's very important for us to figure out, what power does everyone have? Because we're seeing a lot of things not happen, and I don't know if it's because they can't make it happen or they're not willing to, but we all have to figure it out, and we have to band together and unite and find a different way. So that's always a question when we're interviewing candidates. It's like, what does a Secretary of State have power to do? We should all know that. We all need to
We
know that.
should, but I think we also need to remember we all have the power to learn.
Mm-hmm.
We all have the power to make mistakes. We all have the power to attempt to fix those mistakes. But we also have the power of accountability for ourselves, our fellow party members, our community members, our opposition. And that is something we are not seeing mirrored. Like, the humanity is not in politics.
Yep.
We take oaths as military personnel, as civil servants, as elected officials. There is an oath to your community that you take. And that little part right there is what we really need to start holding people accountable for on both sides of the aisle. And I know we don't want to eat our own, but if I make a mistake and am granted the opportunity to hopefully apologize and try to correct course, I think we can lead by example and change both parties for the better, which I think it needs to happen. If we are going to be able to continue to live in this state, in this country, something has to change. So, and we all have the ability to learn an office, how to run, and how to change it kind of within. So.
Yes, and that's one thing we've taken under our belts. We're like, all right, everyone's learning with us. We're gonna learn. You can all listen in and learn too. Let's all learn.
But it is a service too. Like, I try to remind people, and I didn't when we started this. So thank you both for your service, because this is a service to your state, your country, your community, because you risk a lot by being opposition and supporting opposition. You're probably risking a lot by interviewing a candidate who loves to drop the F-bomb. Like, it's it's a lot. It is a big selfless act of service. And I think more people are starting to see, okay, we can do this. Yeah. So
yes.
I just want to say flattery will get you everywhere.
It will, but we have stopped recognizing the power of protesting or the power of boycotting or the power of asking why as a service to our communities. Mm-hmm. Because especially with women and people of color, we are supposed to keep our mouths shut.
Yep.
And that's what's gotten us here.
Hey, yeah.
So
that's the number one comment I get when we're on videos is, oh no, another ignorant idea from a woman. Why don't they just keep their mouths shut?
Yeah.
I'm like, keep my mouth shut. Nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is why we're here.
This is why we're here, actually.
Yeah.
So I know you've lived your whole life in Indiana, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the exception of my military service. I was in Iraq for a little over a year, and then pre and post deployment in other states. But yeah, I am rooted in Indiana.
Loyal to Indiana. So I'm sure
for some reason, Indiana has not been loyal to me, but I am loyal to Indiana.
Well, I know that especially with this administration, how the people of Indiana have already been affected in the past 8 months. So we'd love to know from your eyes what those, effects have been so far.
I think it's been traumatizing. I think, I don't know why we're not calling this an act of terrorism, or arguably even genocide with what's happening with our immigrant population. There's so many emotions. And I know I'm still speaking from a lens of privilege. Like, my husband recently got laid off, so we are on one income, but we feel the effects as people who are doing okay. Mm-hmm. But we are seeing what's happening with our community. People are scared to speak up. They're scared to go out. They're scared to go to work. Our grocery prices are going up. Like, all of these things that we saw that were happening, but I think at least I secretly hoped I was being hysterical about or over exaggerating. Like, it's coming to fruition. It is. The data is there. We're seeing schools close. We're seeing hospitals close. And it's even as where I am, I'm in the third fastest growing town in the state, in Bargersville. And I cannot tell you how many OBGYNs in the last 4 years. They don't want to be here. I've had 3 same-day annual exams canceled because pregnant women are more important. And it's hard. It is, we are losing healthcare. We are losing things. Even those of us who are a little less affected than our underserved populations.
Mm-hmm. You don't think about them. We say, especially with the big, beautiful bill, that a lot of these deep red states, smaller red states that need the funding are going to feel the effects very quickly, not just in 2028, not even in 2026. You're going to start to feel the effects now with hospitals closing and people not being able to get the care they need because people are like, I got to get out of here. I need to go work in healthcare in another state where I don't have to worry about my job being there tomorrow, my hospital being there tomorrow. It happens right away. So, you know, it's not great to hear, but it's also like validating to hear that what we have been saying, what everyone has been saying is real. These effects are real. They're not made up effects. They are happening right now. And it's very important to talk about. So it's just crazy that we're here.
And then also, when it comes to things that we're not making up or not being hysterical about, Mike Braun came out recently and said that leaving interracial marriage to the Supreme Court should be, sent to the states. So we talked a little about what you'd be able to do as a Secretary of State. Would you be able to push back on something like this from your position or coordinate with other elected officials for something like this?
Possibly. Again, the Republicans have a pretty low bar for us, and they're doing things that are all sorts of illegal. So, I mean, I would do anything in my power, win or lose. I will continue to do everything in my power to ensure equity. And that's one nice thing about being a candidate with any type of platform is you can say these things, even if we can't change it. I just don't understand why the fuck my governor cares who I am married to. If it is legal as far as age and it is consensual and I am in a safe marriage, it shouldn't matter to them. It just shouldn't. So it's not, the Secretary of State has nothing to do with that. But I would absolutely use my voice in that office to speak with, the legislature or the other executives. Like, can we just stop with the nonsense? Maybe a little bit.
Please.
Why do they care?
I don't have the bandwidth.
Their go-to is always just let the states decide. That's what happened with abortion. They were like, let the states decide. Well, look what's happened.
Yeah,
it's a pathway to a federal ban.
It's only blue states, and a lot of people cannot get to a blue state. Why? And that's what they do every time. They're always like, let's just throw it to the states. Each state can decide. It should never be up to the states to decide who gets to marry who.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an interesting conversation yesterday with somebody, and they were like, okay, so what about all the people who are already of mixed race? They just can't. It's like the things they're saying don't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? Are you going to have to take a DNA test before applying for a marriage license?
Potential. I mean, I don't even know, because there are people of color with light skin who could be white passing, but also, and I know the Republicans hate science unless it's on their cell phone or something, but like, humans didn't get to where we are without other species commingling. Mm-hmm. So it just, none of it makes any sense other than, well, white supremacy. It's the patriarchy. It is the 1,000-year-old patriarchy that none of us actually physically created the problem of, even our current elected officials, but continue to be perpetuated. And it's got some kind of DNA mutation or something. I don't know why these people have to be so mean.
They see the numbers dwindling. They
Yep.
see themselves
yes,
becoming a
they
minority.
do.
We need to do something big. We need
Yeah.
to say something big. It's going to cause a lot of people to talk about us. And now people are okay saying the things they weren't going to say before out loud. Now they're
Full
saying
mask
those
off.
things. The mask is off, and it's just you're baffled every time they get in front of a microphone and say things like that, because you're like, oh, you've thought that the whole time.
Yeah.
You're
That.
just okay saying it now.
Yeah.
Be
Well,
comfortable.
because there's no repercussions. And I think it was Tad Stormer who said something in a post about, after the civil rights movement, after when slavery ended, which we know it didn't actually end when it ended. There were no repercussions.
No.
There were no reparations. There were nothing really changed. It just morphed into a more toxic capitalism that just didn't always use human capital or black and brown bodies as the capital. So I think if once we are on the other side of this, and again, that wouldn't be a Secretary of State thing, there needs to be actual physical action against the people who are doing this, much like we tried to do with January 6th. We need to hold these people accountable
I'd love to hear it.
to prevent that from happening again. And it's so hypocritical because most of these people will rely on Christianity. Jesus was a brown immigrant man.
Yep.
Who died
Hated capitalism.
Yes. He was actively working against the Roman Empire that murdered him. So that's kind of what we're doing.
That's why everybody says, they were like, you would have allowed Jesus to be kidnapped and disappeared.
Yes. You would ask for his
right
papers.
Now.
Yes.
You would ask for his papers.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But they don't want to hear about that part.
No. I got called blasphemous once for saying that Jesus was brown. I was like, I've actually been to the part of the world where Jesus was from, and they're not white.
They're not white.
They're not white unless they're us coming in.
They haven't been there. That's why they haven't been there.
Exactly. And that's another problem with Americans. We are we're in such an ecosystem that we grew up thinking that Christopher Columbus was a saint and that this place was discovered and it was a happy transition of power. And we don't travel. It's kind of hard to get to Europe. It's not cheap. So we have not had the ability to literally step outside of ourselves and see how behind we are. In a lot of ways.
Yeah, we can't say, I think because everybody says America's the greatest country in the world, that people feel like they don't need to travel outside of it.
Yeah, because we believe it.
Because you
now
believe
we're like,
what
wait.
you're told, and then you leave the country and you go, oh.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, wait, was that propaganda?
Yep. Yep. And that, again, it goes back to marketing. Which I think is what the Secretary of State is in charge of, marketing elections. So just reverse this a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. We need you to do that reverse marketing.
And this next question, I think, is definitely something you might be able to speak more to from a Secretary of State perspective. We're hearing all over the news about gerrymandering. Obviously, the Republicans are very scared of the upcoming midterms, and they feel that instead of campaigning and getting their Secretary of State to go out and get people to vote, that they'll just cheat and gerrymander in the middle of a census. So I know from your perspective, you wouldn't be able to pass any legislation to stop gerrymandering, but as somebody that's, watching suppression of votes happen in real time, what does that do for you in your campaign? Because, this could happen in Indiana.
It could happen a lot. And in theory, even with gerrymandering, if the Secretary of State were doing their job to ensure that anyone who is eligible to vote has access to the polls and access to who's on their ballot, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter because everyone will get the same information in their area who's on their ballot, regardless of where they live. Now, our current Secretary of State, and this, what I'm about to say, he purged 585,000 voters last October. It is my opinion, looking at the polling data afterwards for the votes, we lost governor, attorney general, and U.S. Senate by about 500,000 votes. I don't think that was a coincidence.
No.
I could be wrong. That is totally my opinion. There is nothing to back that up. But our current Secretary of State is, he's an immigrant. And now he's going to potentially purge another 585,000 immigrants from the voter rolls. So now we're up to over 1 million people within a year being purged. So my position on that would be, yeah, we do need to clean up voter rolls. If people have passed away or moved, or whatever, right? If they're no longer actually eligible to vote, they should not be voting. But it shouldn't happen a month before the elections or after early voting has started.
Yep.
That is pretty unethical.
Yep.
So I really want to get in there and practice what I preach and stand on what my platform and stand on what I know is right. And hopefully lead the way for better politicians in the future. But I think the redistricting is stupid because what it sounds like is not only are they going to redistrict our congressional districts, I believe, if I'm hearing correctly, it will affect our House and our state Senate districts.
Yes, it will. Mm-hmm.
Which, of course, affects the Democrats because we have about 1 million people running for CD6. We have about 1 million people running for, that's exaggeration. We have like 4. We have a lot of people running for Congress next year, which is an excellent problem to have. But you have these candidates who are fighting tooth and nail for these districts that may no longer be their district.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which we can pivot. That's fine. My husband would be one of those people. He would lose his duck. The district is gerrymandered to literally look like a duck.
Of course. Yeah. Well,
I know.
it's very Indiana.
There goes our duck
Yeah,
marketing.
there goes our duck.
But
she's like, oh man, the duck marketing, throw it out.
But you know, going forward, if we redistrict when we're supposed to after the census, I would hope that I could at least nudge people. But can we just do this like an equitable way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, could we just do what we say we're going to do?
Make it fair.
If we redistrict, we do it after a census when we get all the information and do it the right way and not in the middle of the census, literally smack dab in the middle for no reason other than to, suppress votes of those of color.
Well, and take it a step further too, because if redistricting does change who my rep is, that needs to be a conversation. I don't remember ever hearing or getting information in the mail from Secretary of State who I pay their salary with my tax dollars. Hey, we redistricted. You were in House District 47. Now you're in House District 58, whatever. This is who your new rep is. This is what their platform was, right? Like, we need to be making this information available, and it's intentionally unavailable because we know empowered citizens fight back when something bad is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
of course. And then to your point, the average person does not want to sit online all day trying to figure out who is going to be on their ballot. So then you take that and you move them to a brand new district where the ballot is not what they thought it was. And now they have to learn or look up a whole new district of who's on their ballot. Come on. They're just going to say, I'm not going to vote. I'm not. This is crazy.
It is intentional. And it doesn't, I don't think education outside of being educated by your elected officials who oversee these elections needs to happen. It shouldn't be you're a high school graduate, so you should know this. You're a college graduate, you should know. If you are eligible to vote, you need this information. It is your information, and it is our duty to provide that without making candidates spend millions of dollars doing it, without, trying to get all there's so much money involved as a candidate trying to share information that should be publicly available anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least we're seeing Gavin Newsom do it the right way by putting it on a ballot and informing people that letting them vote on if they even want to redistrict. And of course they're going to want to, because they're going to want to stick it to Republicans. But,
as they should. As they should.
Mm-hmm. But so you were saying that you were going to try to make this information more accessible. But with that, what will be the top three priorities you have when you win?
When I win, immediately let's figure out what works for the most rural of candidates, most rural of voters. Not everybody has access to the internet. Mm-hmm. Not everybody uses social media. Not everybody even has access to cable. What's one of the reasons we're losing our public funding for PBS and things like that? It's because that's one of the few ways these people are getting information, not just with weather, but local politics. PBS WFYI in Indianapolis, we have these smaller stations who help with that. So trying to figure out in whatever capacity possible, which may end up being snail mail postcards, what's the easiest way to engage with you? That's simple. Here is this card. It's at least a year before the election. This is when your next election is. This is where your polling site will likely be. This is who your county clerk, like, this is if you can have to only use a rotary dial phone to call, this is how you get this information. What is the best way for me to give that to you? And they don't have to reply, right? It can be optional, but at least they've had that invitation to be a part of their own, their own civic engagement. And I think that needs to be part of it too, is we need to be inviting people to these spaces, to these conversations, to this information, because it is overwhelming and it is hard and it's kind of confusing. And once you're in it, you're still like, these are the jokers who are supposed to be the professionals in charge of this?
Yep.
And they think that the 3/5 compromise was a good thing. Like, what is going on here? Like,
just Twilight Zone.
It is, but it is Twilight Zone by design, because we have been told, oh, you don't need to know that. Oh, that's too complicated. We don't talk about that. So day one, let's figure out how to get a hold of these voters, which will likely end up being a postcard, which I hate saying that for the environment, but I'll support our postal service and we will figure this out together, because it's not Blythe going in there and doing all the things. It's Blythe implementing the things, but to benefit the most people. And that has to be a collaboration. And that is a nonpartisan thing. Yep. Any Hoosier who is eligible to vote, I do not give a rat's patootie if you're voting for the flying spaghetti monster. You need to tell me what is the easiest way, or have the opportunity to tell me, how do we reach you and get you that information?
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it should be mandatory like they do in Australia, honestly.
I would love compulsory voting. Or even just some and incentivizing it is a weird way to say it, because that can be like illegal. But how do we make it? How are we empowering, not shaming non-voters, but making it look like it's the cool thing to do? How do we do that?
Give everybody a free cheeseburger. Free cheeseburgers.
Like, how do we?
If you vote, like,
the stickers aren't working. The stickers
aren't working. No, they aren't. Like, what does that look like? I don't know. That's some of the collaboration there, and also following the laws. Like, we're not going to bribe people to vote, but yeah.
Yeah.
But free cheeseburgers isn't a bribe, right?
Well, let's get these corporations who are not paying taxes involved in this. Yes. You're not paying taxes in the state of Indiana because of your TIFs or whatever. So you need to figure out a way to get people to vote.
Seriously.
Well, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, that would be great. Honestly, that would get people out. Everybody, free pizza, something.
Yeah,
food truck outside, something, because they're running out of stickers. A lot of people are like, I didn't even get a sticker this past election. So, but we also wanted to talk about constituents feeling like their vote might not matter going forward with everything that's currently happening. We're seeing a lot of voter suppression. So for you might want to know, do people even feel like they should be voting at this point? How do you feel about that? And what would you say to somebody who isn't sure if they're even going to vote in the primaries?
Yeah, I hear you. I feel you. I've been told the same thing. I am a lifelong voter, mostly voted Republican. In 2016, I shamefully voted Libertarian because I still had that Democrats bad, but I also saw Republicans aren't that good either. We'll vote for Gary Johnson. Well, that's a throwaway vote right now. And I'm not saying this against the Democrats because I very much stand on the Democratic Party values. And that is why I identify as a Democrat. Party values solely, not party history. We need to be able to have ranked choice voting. We need to be able to have a viable third party option, because I think that strengthens the Republican and the Democrat, the only two options, which it's not only two options, but we are stuck in this two-party system right now. The Democrats are the only way out of this system. So we need to make sure we have good, as honest and ethical and progressive Democrats on our ballots as possible to vote for next year to try and morph the way that some of the status quo is. So your vote does matter. I know we have been told the opposite. I know we feel it has been the opposite. I'm saying that as a person on the ballot last year who voted Democrat and woke up at 4 a.m. the next day thinking, what am I going to do? Right? I'm a woman who, even if I wanted another child, I wouldn't do it because they will let me die. My daughter, I don't want them to be in this situation. I don't want my LGBTQ family that I'm an accomplice to feel this way. Like, it felt like my vote didn't matter last year, and I think that was by design, and it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It still hurts.
Yes, I know.
So bad.
Yeah.
I
It
always
is
tell
literally
people,
traumatizing to relive that
It
day.
is so traumatizing. But if you've never voted before and you happen to be listening to this, one, thank you for your service, because this is engaging. Listening to this content is engaging in politics. It is getting more information to make a decision for yourself. If you've never voted, please register. Please try it. Register before the SAVE Act goes into effect, because it likely will. Vote in the primaries. Please consider looking at the Democratic ballots, especially if you're in a state that puts you into that situation. And please consider voting in November. Give us a shot. Let us try to change your mind and hold us accountable and be vocal about it. Your voice matters, your vote matters. And I know it's scary to do both. I get that. I still have people telling me they're registering to vote after last year and that they've never voted. So I have to believe it's not just my algorithm and echo chamber telling me that people are realizing this needs to change and we need more people involved. So
1000%.
I hope we can change it. We're trying.
I always tell people that if your vote doesn't matter, why are they trying so hard to take it from you?
Yeah.
Why are they trying to pass the SAVE Act? Why are they trying to gerrymander in broad daylight right now and take away the will of the people? If it didn't matter, they wouldn't be actively trying to take it. They would just say, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll totally win.
This is what they want.
We're
mandate.
fine. We've got this and that. We won in a landslide, right? If you won in a landslide, why are you acting this way?
Why are you being weird?
Why are you being weird? So, I mean, I think that's a great answer. I, for one, agree that thinking back on that day in November is absolutely traumatizing to relive as a woman, especially. And I've heard so many people, family members say, I think this was my last vote. I think I'm done. I can't, what do you want from me? And if anything, looking back at it, even though it was traumatizing, has empowered me even more to say, there is no way that you're going to catch me not voting in every single election, even at the most local level that there is. Because I have fallen victim to not voting in the past in like small local elections. And boy, did I have some learning to do. And I had to hold myself accountable, because it starts right there, all the way down at the local level and works its way all the way up. And if you don't realize that, and a lot of Democrats don't, because it's usually the Democrats that don't show up to those elections, this is how we end up here. This is where the corruption starts, and it just trickles all the way up. So we all have to be voting all the time.
We need to hold our parties accountable too. And I'm not speaking specifically with the Indiana State Democratic Party, but it is my perception, speaking of last year's election, that Kamala maybe middle of the roaded her campaign and her platform a little bit more at the urging of the DNC. That is, if you look at her 2020 presidential run and her platform then versus last year, they're very different. And one was backed by the DNC, and that was last year. So I'm hoping that Democrats, that anyone running, regardless of the party, tell the people what you believe. Don't try to make it palatable for Republicans or the opposite party. Tell the people what you believe. If you believe that Palestine should be free and that Israelis should also be having a safe space to live without a dictator, say that. If you believe that the LGBTQ plus community deserves to have access to consensual marriages and healthcare and reproductive care and health insurance and education, say that. If you think that our underserved and our poor community and our unhoused community deserve to have safe housing, water, food, and air, say that. And we see it happen all the time with Democrats. We need the Republican. We don't need the Republicans to vote. We need the non-voters who are tired of us doing this exact thing to fucking vote.
Yeah, we need to look at the past polls. We need to look at
No, you're so
why.
It's
you're
the
so
non-voters,
fucking right.
and we saw it last year with Palestine.
Yes.
We can blame Jill Stein all we want, but we have to hold the DNC and Kamala and Joe Biden accountable too, because they could have done more before they left office. They could have used their voices more. They could be using their voices more now. And I voted for Kamala.
Yeah. I mean, they gave us no choice. We had to choose between the lesser of two evils. Were either of them the perfect candidate? No, but
that doesn't exist.
Choice in a two-party system that, it came to the point where people were like, I cannot vote for either of them, so I'm not going to vote, or I'm going to vote for Jill Stein, which we've learned that is a throwaway vote because she was never going to win. So then we all get here and we all start infighting each other, and then more people don't vote. Because to this day, it's still an issue. And we are inching closer and closer to primaries every single day that goes by. And, that's why I think a lot of people are really hyping up grassroots candidates like ourselves, because they're the ones saying the things. They're not bought and paid for. They're not being paid by a large company to feel a certain way about something or not feel a certain way about something. And people just want somebody to get in there and fight for them. And it's crazy that it's that simple.
It truly is.
It's really so easy. Yeah, after I got out of my own biases about Kamala and like the veil was lifted for me, as Casey says, I was like, okay, maybe we shouldn't have even bothered trying to, have a big tent and have Liz Cheney come in. For what? The Republicans already think we're demons and that we drink baby blood and that we control the weather and we're keeping children in the bottom of pizza shops. Like, why? We don't know.
Why
what
are we fighting so hard for that?
No, you don't need to do that. That's a whole waste of time. So yeah, you're 100. You're fucking right on that one.
Yes.
But speaking of presidents and VPs, here's our fun question. So if you were running for president, who would be your dream VP, living or dead?
Corinne Straight. I fucking love her. She will likely be moving to Canada with her partner here in a few years, which is so devastating for the Hoosier state. But I look up to her. I love her platform. She's so knowledgeable. And I know that she's someone that not only could I work with, but she would hold my ass accountable.
So, need accountability.
And plenty of people do. I get messages every now and again like, hey, you need to take that down. Hey, that is wrong. Hey, this is not right. Like, and that's what we need. So,
okay. Wow.
Yes. I love it. Everyone always surprises us.
Yeah, I always think I can guess the answer, and I was like,
"Oh, what did you think? Who did you think I might say?"
I don't know. I wasn't.
You were a wild card because
I didn't know.
Like we've had people on. Like I don't know if you've known Tanya. Tanya's running in California, but she's a huge Bernie. So we were like, she's gonna have to say Bernie, and then she of course, it was like we were like we thought you were gonna say Bernie because she didn't say Bernie. We were like we thought it would be Bernie.
Funny. Your answers were so dead on. Like through this, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to guess.
I love Bernie though. Like, man, the DNC I think like kind of screwed him over too in 2020.
I think that's the veil that was lifted was the DNC. Like even like Kamala was like it was bigger than that. We lifted the veil on the entire DNC and went, oh, it's never gonna get better if we keep doing this.
We're like, oh, a majority of them. We're like, oh, so you guys are all taking APAC money and you can't say certain things.
Mm.
Hakeem Jeffries, you can't
Cory
endorse
Booker.
Cory
Zoran
Booker.
Mamdani.
Just standing in a picture with
Oh my God.
I
Netanyahu.
know, and that is so
Hiding.
disappointing.
We saw you, dude. We
He
see
tried
you
to
in the
hide.
picture.
I see you right there. It's on video. It's just
Yeah.
and
You got
now
caught in 10K.
they're spinning out because they've never had people question them like this before. So now they're
Mhm.
like, we gotta hide. We can't be in this picture because the Gen Z have found out all the
Mhm.
information and they're online and they're sharing it. And boy, has social media driven the FAFO for the Democrats. They have
It
Yeah.
really
driven
has.
it.
But I think it could also help enhance us, at least while
It
we still
will.
have it.
Yeah.
It
yeah,
will,
we
yeah.
still have it and we're able to say what we want
Everyone-
to say.
Everyone says midterms is going to be a bloodbath. I think the Dems are in for a rude awakening as well,
Mhm.
because people are looking at these APAC trackers daily.
Yeah.
Good, as they should, and hopefully people are keeping receipts on that. But I do want
we
to
got
mention
spreadsheets.
quickly with social media, that's another goal of my campaign, because I'm going to be at all 92 counties. Any county party in the state of Indiana that has social media presence, I want to start getting them following each other, because that just organically helps the algorithm.
Does.
We need to be following the township clubs, the county parties, and even those of us who are engaged with our party need to be following county parties and the state party,
Mhm.
because it will just help.
Unity.
I cannot tell you how many times people are like, there are Democrats in Johnson County. I'm like, yeah, we actually have a great party with a headquarters in the heart of Johnson County. Oh, we do? How do you not say this? Like, I'm on social media all the time. But so I think we can help ourselves
Yeah.
by seeking out that information. And it'll take time to follow all of them, but I want to start connecting. We haven't had social media forever. So the counties and the Democrats didn't really know, hey, we should be using this to our advantage. So I'm trying to help facilitate that.
That's where the grassroots candidates are really winning, because
Yeah.
they sunk into this media, they sunk into social media, and now what we're watching is the APAC Democrats who are currently in office that are getting scared are now reaching out to creators. Like we're on standby. We know they're going to reach out to us once they start figuring out we're interviewing grassroots candidates, because they're going to say, I need to get in on this, because they're going to win, because they've all Gen Z on social media watching them, and that's who's going to show up and vote. We know that.
I want to shout out our Democratic Party chair too. If you followed anything I've done, I was very critical of this decision for the state. But very recently, our party chair, Karen Talion, did an amazing TikTok. And I was so proud of that. And I know that Dana helped with that. But to me, that is a seed that has been planted, and it feels like we are being listened to, because that's what we need from our leadership. We need our leadership to be pushing back in some capacity, whatever capacity that they are comfortable, but publicly.
Yes.
And I do believe that she is doing that. Now, I'm not saying she's probably going to be doing 10 TikToks a day, but
it's a start.
That is good change. And anyone in the state of Indiana needs to go to that video. They need to share it and engage with it and like support that, because that is our party working with us.
Yes.
And not against us.
We have to give them props when they do what we ask them to do. That's what we say. We were like, we call them out on our podcast. We have a whole section to calling them out and holding them accountable. And when they do something good, we turn around and we give them their award and their praise, because we can't just yell at them all the time to do something and they do it and we're like, it's crickets on our end, you know?
Yeah, we still hate you.
We're still hating you.
Listen,
What you did wasn't good enough.
If you go through my personal if you go through my personal TikTok or past episodes, fuck Gavin Newsom. Fuck this guy. I can't stand him.
When we got that podcast going, we were like, never. I can't believe anyone wanted him to be president. This guy sucks.
No. But now we're like, oh, hey, Gavin.
And we're like, great job.
I mean, come on. Yeah, we're not going to be over here like, well, we still don't like you. Yeah. Then what is it? It's just not going to do anything good. So, I mean, yes, we, as much as we hold them accountable, we also need to be behind them, liking and reposting and boosting them when they are clocking it and doing better and making better choices for their constituents.
Training them. We're training them.
So,
every time they do something good, hit the clicker.
Yes.
Good job.
Give them their treat. But you know, that's what they have to do. And some of them, it just took that push to say, this is what your constituents want. You work for them. Remember that. And then they go, oh, yeah. And they do it. Then we have to go behind them and go, yes, good job.
Miss Rachel, them good
Yes.
job.
Yeah, well, it's ironic because lay people like us are like, oh, politics, that's really scary. I don't want to get involved in that. On the flip side, we have people in politics. She was an elected official in the state Senate. She's probably like, I'm not doing social media. No way. That is not my jam.
I don't get that. I don't
So
understand
yeah,
it.
it's like, it's taking a breath, doing I mean, it's scary as fuck out here, right? Just living is scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's definitely, I think she was outside of her comfort zone on that, if I'm to guess.
Yes.
So she did good.
Yes. We'll give her props.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love it.
Yes. But the last question we ask every single candidate that comes on here is, what are some of their favorite reasons for living in their state? So you're in Indiana. So give us some of your favorite things about Indiana.
Yeah. I had never canvassed or door knocked until the last 2 years. And in a red county where I've been told, oh, don't mess with Johnson County, they're not winnable. We have got some really great humans in the state of Indiana. Not all of them agree with me. Not all of them voted for me, but I got offered water and I had conversations. I got to hear stories and meet family members and puppies and babies, and seeing the humanity in our communities in a way that we don't otherwise get to, and being able to travel like to Franklin County, Indiana, and going into the county was like driving into a landscape of beautiful mountains that I was like, oh my God, if I had not done this, I would have never met these people. And just to be able, to meet people I would have never met otherwise. And it is still scary. I'm still an introvert at heart. As are many other people who are doing these things because we feel we have to be a part of this. So to anyone who like just being able to knock on those doors and to meet people who still have faith in this state, even when they've wronged us, it is good. There is a lot to not love about Indiana because of our politics, but we have got some damn good human beings here. So
I love it. I love it.
I like that. And some good basketball teams.
Yeah.
That's some good basketball and sports all around. My husband is a huge sports fan. So yeah, we've got some good sports.
Well, before we outro, we want to give you a chance to shameless plug your social medias, everywhere where people can find you. And if you have any events coming up, go ahead. Shameless plug time.
Yes.
All the things.
It's Blythe Potter IN, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, even Twitter. I'm back on Twitter. I got Twitter trolled a few weeks ago, so I was like, I better go stand up for myself. BlythePotter.com. Sadly, I need money. We all need money. I am people powered and grassroots. Follow anytime you encounter a candidate, follow them, share their stuff. And I will be hitting up all the counties. I am going to put a public county or calendar on my website as to where I'll be going. So please go to those. If you want to ask questions, if you want to meet, please reach out. If you have platform ideas on ways I could better modify it, tell me that too. I don't know all the things. So I am accessible. I will respond. And I do very much look forward to meeting with the public and seeing how we can work together to make changes.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It does. It does.
Unity. I love it. And we thank you so much for taking the time to come on Blue-Lusional podcast and answer our questions. And we learned a lot today.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for having me. I owe a joke. I'm always like begging for media. So thank you so much.
Oh, no, we're media.
We're media.
You are. Well, I was literally told this by a local paper. Democrats do not get media time in traditional mainstream media sources, even small local papers, unless the Republicans are doing the same thing because they don't want to piss off the GOP. So it is, when we say grassroots, like we are literally begging anyone to listen to us who will listen. So yes, you are media.
We're like, we will give you the platform.
Thank
We heard you.
Thank you so much.
This time next year, if we put out a video every single Thursday, by this time next year, you should just be able to go in there and find who is on your ballot and listen to them for an hour, and you will get all the information you need to know about why you should be voting for them. So that's what we're trying to do here. And so we thank anyone who is willing to come on and share information and give their insight. And I think it's great for the people of Indiana to have a place to come listen to you. And, you know, it's just great all around. I love it.
And we got to meet new people. It's so fun to see people that I follow when I'm scrolling.
I know.
It was a long time coming.
Yes.
So fun. Like, I know that.
Great. It's great.
Now I'm famous.
Yes. So we're trucking along here, and
we're doing great. I appreciate it.
We're just pushing buttons,
smashing buttons.
Hey, that's okay.
But you know, it's great to be able to feel like we're doing something for our grassroots candidates. We feel very strongly about this, and so everybody who comes on it's so much fun. It is. We love doing this.
Well, good. We appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching. And we'll be back next week for another episode of GRC. Bye, guys.
Bye.